Most whiplash cases settle for just a few $1,000s, like $3,000, $5,000, or maybe $8,000. But 5 categories of whiplash cases can pay way more than that, and one of them on average pays more than the other 4. So in this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 whiplash cases that pay the most, from number 5 to number 1, using my actual cases and the real settlement numbers. Now here's the thing, with whiplash cases, adjusters open the file, see neck strain, no surgery, no broken bones, and value it at a couple $1,000s. That's the default, but the same whiplash injury can settle for 20 to 40 times that, sometimes more. And it often depends on the category of case it is. Starting with category 5, let's look at a real case with 3 people in one car in Hialeah, Florida. They got rear-ended and the car had major property damage. The at-fault driver had a $25,000 per person, $50,000 in total per accident policy with AAA insurance company. 3 people making claims. $50,000 was the most combined that they could all get. My client Odalis was one of those 3, and I also represented her son. They had whiplash and back pain. The x-rays and CAT scan didn't show any broken bones, so she had what's called soft tissue injuries. The kind of case AAA would lowball any other day, but she walked away with a full $25,000 per person limit. Within 30 days of the crash, I got AAA to offer the $25,000 to Odalis. But why? Because when you have multiple people making a claim on a small policy, the insurance company wants out. The nightmare for the insurance company is one person whose case becomes worth more than the per person limit on their insured's policy. If that happens, the person with whiplash may be able to sue for bad faith later. Then the insurance company could owe whatever a jury awards instead of just what the policy limits are. The fastest way for the insurance company to make that risk go away is to pay the insurance limits. They then get settlement releases on every person making a claim and close the file. So when there's multiple people making claims in limited policy cases, the case actually favors the injured passenger or driver with whiplash, if you do things right. But here's the move most people miss. Taking the insurance limits of the at-fault driver is often not the end of the case. It's the beginning of the next one. You go hunting for the next layer of coverage in your own underinsured motorist policy, or auto coverage on a relative you live with, or their employer's policy if the driver who caused the crash was working, or maybe they have an umbrella policy on top of all of it. If you find another layer, that first limit's payout becomes the floor of your case, not the ceiling. So category 5 are whiplash cases with several people making claims and limited available insurance. But the next category of claim isn't about how many people are making a claim or the policy limit. It comes down to the kind of vehicle you were sitting in when you got hit. One day in Miami Shores, my client Mike was sitting in the back of a Lyft vehicle. The rideshare vehicle was stopped in traffic when the car behind it couldn't stop on the wet road and rear-ended them. Mike's neck took the hit and he had whiplash. He didn't take an ambulance to the hospital. The officer wrote the damage up as minor on the crash report. That's exactly the kind of case insurance companies make a low offer in. They often argue that your whiplash isn't serious if the vehicle wasn't badly damaged. Mike never had surgery, but his MRI showed he had disc bulges in his neck, his mid-back, and his lower back, along with a tear in his wrist. Geico insured the driver who hit them, and they paid us that driver's bodily injury limits, which were $25,000. And you shouldn't stop there. I went after Lyft's coverage on top of it. At that time, Florida rideshare companies carried underinsured motorist coverage on these vehicles. The first offer on that coverage was $16,000. Then I got them to increase it to $23,000. Then after the claim got reassigned to a manager, I pushed them to offer $45,000. So $25,000 from Geico plus $45,000 from Lyft's coverage came to a $70,000 total on a whiplash case with some other injuries with no surgery and minor damage on the crash report. Here's why a rideshare case likely gets a larger settlement. Rideshare companies likely may pay extra to keep cases quiet and out of the media. I call this the rideshare premium. In my case, Lyft's insurance company didn't require confidentiality. That's rare. I currently have only seen one recent Lyft or Uber settlement that isn't confidential. Now, I have to give you one important update on this case. Florida law has changed. That underinsured motorist coverage on the rideshare vehicle in Florida no longer exists the way it did when we settled Mike's case. So if you're riding in an Uber or Lyft today, your coverage may look different, and that's something that depends case by case. But the large settlement value itself still applies. So that's category number 4, rideshare cases with whiplash. whiplash. But there's a category that usually pays even more than rideshare for whiplash injuries. Let me give you a real case. David was driving an SUV in the Orlando area and he was on the clock that day. His employer was in the business of moving vehicles and David was the one behind the wheel. He got rear-ended and both vehicles were damaged. At the scene, David said he lost consciousness for a few seconds. He was taken from the scene by ambulance and hospitalized for a short time. He had neck pain, whiplash, back pain, and wrist pain. He already had neck and back problems that were documented before the crash, and the other driver's insurance company was ready to use those against him. He didn't have any broken bones, and he didn't have surgery. On paper, it's exactly the type of whiplash case that insurance companies don't pay much on. So Geico's first offer was just $10,350,000. His hospital bill came to over $233,000. Yes, you heard me correct. David also had a workers' compensation claim because he was on the job when the crash happened. I referred him to a separate workers' comp attorney for that part. I handled the injury claim against Geico myself. Workers' comp paid a fraction of the hospital bill and David didn't owe the hospital anything. In other words, the hospital accepted the workers' comp payment as full payment of the bill. I pressured Geico to pay us the $100,000 insurance policy limits. They caved and paid us the $100,000. After my lawyer's fees and costs and paying back workers' comp, David walked away with over $64,000 in his pocket. So how does a whiplash case with no surgery jump from a $10,350 offer to the full $100,000 limits? Two reasons. The first reason was the size of the hospital bill. Over $233,000 in medical charges anchors the entire case. Even when the insurance company argues about how much of that bill was reasonable, $250,000 in a hospital charges tells an adjuster this was a serious crash. The second thing was the loss of consciousness. When you lose consciousness in a crash, even for just a few seconds, that is a documented head injury. It tells the insurance company this was not some minor tap. It was enough force to knock you out cold. And that one fact makes it a lot harder for the adjuster to say the case is a low-impact, soft tissue nothing. Put the two together, a documented loss of consciousness and a massive hospital bill, and the insurance company simply cannot call this a $10,350 case anymore. So here's your lesson, and it's the most important one if you have whiplash and take a hard hit to the head. If you lost consciousness, even for a single second, make sure you tell the doctor about it. They'll put it in the medical record. On a whiplash case, that paperwork is what carries you from a low offer, potentially up to the insurance policy limits. That's category number 3, a whiplash with a loss of consciousness or a serious medical bill behind it. And if you have both, it's even better for your case value. But the next case isn't worth more because of the injuries. It's worth more because of who hit you. Let's now look at whiplash category 2, where my client Fabian was driving his car in South Florida. A car coming from the opposite direction crashed straight into him head on. The driver who hit him was a woman who had been drinking alcohol before she got behind the wheel, and she was driving the wrong way down the road. She struck Fabian's car head on. The police investigated her right there at the scene and she was arrested for DUI. He had whiplash but never went to the emergency room or urgent care. He then went to a chiropractor shortly and he got therapy for his neck and back. The chiropractor ordered an MRI. That MRI showed 2 bulging discs and 2 herniated discs in his spine. But they didn't inject him and they didn't perform surgery. Geico insured the drunk driver, and after delays, they made a first offer of just $17,500. And that was on chiropractic treatment alone, with no surgery, no injections, and no hospital. On Fabian's claim, 3 things stacked on top of each other to add major value. The first was the type of crash itself. A head-on impact drove huge force into his neck. And that force makes it much harder for the insurance company to argue your neck or discs weren't injured in the crash. The second was the property damage. The damage to Fabian's car was major. On a case with no ER visit, a photo of that kind of damage is the single strongest piece of evidence that the impact was serious. The insurance company doesn't want a jury looking at those photos. The third thing that added major value to the case was the other driver was drunk. That allows you to sue for punitive damages. Those are in addition to pain and suffering, medical bills, and lost wages. However, most auto insurance policies don't pay for punitive damages. That means if a jury awards punitive damages against a drunk driver, the insurance company doesn't have to pay. The drunk driver pays that out of their own pocket. But here's what the insurance company knows. Juries punish drunk drivers. Take an injury they'd normally treat as routine whiplash. Now put a drunk driver at the defense table with a winnable punitive damages claim. In front of a jury, the verdict can spike. And it's not just the punitive number that goes up. The pain and suffering number can go up right along with it. A credible punitive damages claim changes the math. Even on an insurance policy that doesn't cover punitives, the insurance company often pays more for pain and suffering. They often settle higher just to keep the case away from a jury. On Fabian's case, I pulled the entire criminal file from the courthouse. The arrest report, the tests given to the drunk driver, everything the prosecutor had. Most people never get that criminal file, and that one move all by itself separates a routine whiplash case from a premium one. In Fabian's case, we rejected the insurance company's $17,500 offer. I threatened to sue and eventually settled for $95,000. That's on a $100,000 policy, so that's just $5,000 under the limits. It came out to more than 5 times the first offer. And that's category number 2, whiplash from a crash with big property damage and aggravated liability when the driver is drunk. But there's still one whiplash category that often pays more than a category 2 type crash, and it's based on something you may not expect. To show you, Gary was driving his car through Miami-Dade County with a steady green light. An 18-wheeler tried to make a left turn right in front of him and cut him off. Gary couldn't stop in time and his car struck the side of the tractor trailer. His car was a total loss. He complained of whiplash and paramedics took him to the hospital. The first hospital was worried he had fractured a bone in his neck, so they transferred him to a second hospital for a closer look. Fortunately, the second hospital said he didn't have a fracture. Gary went on to treat with a doctor and he spent several months in physical therapy for his neck. His MRI showed a herniated disc in his neck, but he didn't need injections. The trucking company was insured. I pressured their insurance company into offering $65,000. I then got them up to increase it to $85,000 and we eventually settled for $100,000. That was on a whiplash injury with a herniated disc with no surgery and no injections against an 18-wheeler. $100,000 is the same number my client David got back in category number 3. But here's the difference, and it's a major point of this video. David's case settled at the full policy limits of the private driver who hit him. For David, $100,000 was the most he could get from the insurance company. On Gary's case, the truck had $750,000 in insurance. If Gary's injuries had been worse, if he had needed surgery, if his symptoms had dragged on for years, the case value would have kept climbing up. There was no real limit on how much the insurance company could owe until you hit $750,000. Plus, there's another thing that makes most whiplash cases against truck drivers better. Truck drivers have many laws that they need to follow. Trucking insurance adjusters know this and they often pay a premium, more money, if the driver violated one of these laws. And if a trucking company doesn't have a good safety record, meaning that they're not putting safety first, that could also lead to a larger settlement. That's one of the 2 reasons that whiplash cases against trucking companies makes a big rig the number 1 category. I call this the big rig premium, and here's an example of it. One of the better whiplash truck accident settlements I've had for the following. In this other case, my client didn't have an MRI or injections. The adjuster said there wasn't much damage to the vehicle. In that case, I settled my client's whiplash and back pain claim against the trucking company for over $34,000. After medical bills and lawyers' fees and costs, my client got over $19,000 in his pocket. That doesn't happen in every whiplash trucking case, but some trucking companies will pay more to keep a settlement confidential. The second reason whiplash often pays more in truck accident cases is this. Watch what happens when you swap a private driver for a trucking company. A private driver usually carries a bodily injury policy somewhere between $10,000 and $100,000. That's often the most you can get from their insurance company. On the other hand, the tractor trailer company carries policies that usually start at $750,000. That's a very high limit for whiplash cases. A private driver has no corporate brand to protect. A trucking company has a brand and safety records that you can get if you sue. And the defense lawyer on the other side knows that a jury is going to compare an 18-wheeler to the person sitting inside a regular passenger car. The size difference alone changes how a jury sees the case. Same whiplash injury, same MRI, same treatment. Against a tractor trailer company, a whiplash case could be worth double or more. So trucking accidents are the number 1 whiplash category, and it's the one I watch many people with whiplash miss completely. But knowing which category your whiplash case falls into only helps you if your case gets handled in a way that actually proves it. The thing is, so many people don't get paid fair value for their whiplash because they don't use a simple claim trick. I've used this easy tactic to get combined settlements of several $1 million in whiplash cases. I reveal what this tactic is in the video that's on screen now and linked in the description below, so watch it now. And if you have whiplash from an accident and you think that someone else is at fault, click the link in the description below to see if I could be the lawyer for you.